Hello and welcome to another episode of the Dermatillo-Diaries. Today my guest Michelle Steinbach from Manitoba, Canada is here to discuss her personal journey with compulsive skin picking, as well as the methods she's implemented into her life to manage it successfully. Michelle's aim is now to provide hope to others. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you very much, Kim, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
Oh, I'm so happy to sit with you. Well, you other side of the world, but we're sitting together having this conversation because I think your story, your journey with dermatillomania can help others that want to be able to successfully manage their skin picking long term. And so I think it would be great to kick things off with understanding a little bit more about yourself as well as your personal journey with skin picking.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I just want to say, before I start, that this is the journey that I've gone through, and I just hope, to inspire others. I actually have my first memory with the skin picking is I was a flower girl, and I was at a wedding, and I was really nervous, and so I started picking a scar on my arm, and I still kind of have it. And it's interesting how it began, because it began when my brain was really developing. Unfortunately, my dad passed away when I was 3 years old, and as a kid, you don't know how to express your emotions of I'm feeling anxiety, I'm feeling this. And I'm a very sensitive, I'm very sensitive, very empathetic. And I was just soaking up all the just anxiety around me that people didn't intentionally to bring on me, but as a sensitive child, you're just soaking up all those feelings and stuff. And so then how I coped with that was through picking my skin. It was hard because there's photos of me where I had scars on my arms and legs, and that's how I was coping. And during just growing up, it would come off and on. I would just pick my legs, pick my arms, and it was something that I realized it was not good when I had to end up getting stitches from it when I was about 15. And so after that, after getting stitches, I had stopped for a bit, and then I had gotten a concussion, and then that's when it went full tilt, where I started picking my face, my chest, and that was in about 2017. And so, that was kind of my journey with picking. And
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I know it's not an easy journey to discuss. It's not something that we talk about freely to anyone and everyone. And that takes a lot of courage, and I'm really grateful that you're here and discussing your journey with me, and I appreciate it. I would like to ask, what do you think was the change, when you had that concussion at 17 years old? What do you think triggered the change, from certain areas of your body that you were kind of grazing and skin picking around to going to other areas and potentially amplifying the skin picking episodes?
Yeah, that's a question I'm still discovering myself as well. I think the brain is so interesting. And what I've learned is creating new neural pathways to, so I guess my brain, when I got the concussion, since it was a big stressor, it was a really hard time. I had a breakup during that time. My dog died during that time. There was just a lot going on. And so I guess my body just went back to what I always knew is picking. And I think that's, since I was experiencing so much hard times in my life, I was that's just what was comfortable to me. And that was what I knew how to cope. And I realized, how it was just really hurting. It really hurting me. And, but that's just how I was able to cope during that time. And, or that's where I thought that I could, that was how I could cope. And
yeah. And it sounds similar to when I say, that's compulsive skin picking, and any body focused repetitive behavior really can be used as a bit of like a safety blanket when you, whatever it is, like stressed or worried, upset, and you need something to kind of soothe you. It's very easy when we know something that long term doesn't help us, but in the moment it makes us feel like a sense of joy or satisfaction.
Relief. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that that you experienced all those things at once. That must have been incredibly overwhelming. And from one person to another who understands skin picking, I can understand why you went to it.
Don't go through it. Don't have a concussion, and don't, with breakup. That's not a good mix. No.
Well, unfortunately, we can't write out how we'd like things to go.
No, exactly. Yeah. No, for sure.
So I know you'd mentioned off the call about some things that have helped you over time, and now you've got to a stage where you are managing it successfully daily, and you're not feeling the urge to skin pick as much. And I'd love to understand more about what you've been doing, that journey of self-discovery to get to that point where you can, you've been able to successfully distance yourself from this coping mechanism.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's been about 5 months now that I've been able to refrain from picking. And there's so much that it was not just like a light switch. It took years of therapy. And with therapy, I feel like, I remember someone telling me, "Hey, Michelle, I really think you should go to therapy." And at first I was offended. I was like, who do you think I am telling me to go to therapy? I'm not, but now my perspective on it has changed drastically, where I think everyone would benefit from therapy. And so with therapy, it really helped me become more aware of the picking, because sometimes I wasn't, like, she would always ask me, "Well, what are your thoughts during skin picking? What are your thoughts?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know. It's a numbing feeling, you're just, it numbs you, and it almost stops you from thinking." But then having that awareness, bringing awareness to, like, okay, I'm wanting to pick right now. And then I think that leads to, for me, I would always tell someone when I wanted to pick. Even if I did end up picking after, I told someone, I was like, "Hey, I really feel like picking right now." Hey, and then just having that person, where it can be, a couple of people, or just people that you trust, that can just, when you say things out loud, there's such power to it. It helps your frontal cortex kind of ignite instead of the amygdala, the fight or flight. It helps just kind of rationalizing it in a way. And so I think that was really big. And noticing triggers, like for me, mirrors were very much a trigger. So sometimes I would take steps to, like, okay, instead of washing my hands in the bathroom, I would wash my hands in the kitchen kind of thing. And so becoming very much, having a lot of self-realization, like for me, like when I go out to social events, I can experience social anxiety. So I always make sure I have a fidget with me. Even I'm like fidgeting right now, kind of thing, right? Like it's important to, like, okay, well, I'm going to do this, and I might, be a little bit triggered there. So I'm going to bring a fidget with me. And it was from a lot of trial and error, because there was times where I didn't bring a fidget, and then I would end up picking my skin casually, almost kind of secretly, while I'm talking with friends and stuff, and yeah, so it's just really about like knowing yourself. And I think also for me, I kind of try to refrain to use like my skin picking, or I am a picker, like almost kind of not labeling as this is who you are, but that this is what you're experiencing. This is what your mechanism right now. You're not, because when you almost label it as your own, you feel like this is me, So I always try to refer it to the picking, or I experience skin picking kind of thing. And I think there was a lot of times where I would say, okay, never again. From this day on, I'm never going to do that again. So I realized that was not a realistic kind of thing. And so I tried just doing for September last year. I was like, you know what, just this month. And at that time, I had already kind of done a lot of again, a lot of therapy, a lot of self-realization, more creating new neural pathways in my brain, trying to replace, what I've been used to for so long. It's been deeply rooted. And that's why I think, anyone can overcome this, because it was so deeply rooted when I was like 3 years old and my brain was still developing. And so I was just saying, okay, just September, I'm not going to pick. And then that can, for others, it can be like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just only going to pick one time today instead of two, or instead of this many times. Like, it's just like that, setting yourself little goals. And then by the time October rolled around, I'm like, well, I don't want to do this. Or like, by the time you just kind of felt like, well, I don't feel like I really, I don't know, like I want to continue with this. And yeah, and just one more thing of like, I had lots of people in my life, like even I had a boyfriend who, on my worst days of picking, where there would be scars on my face, all that kind of stuff, he would be like, I believe in you. And having someone who believes in your recovery is huge, because sometimes on the days where you don't feel like you can recover, having someone who does is, it's amazing. So, and yeah, that's, I guess, what
Amazing. So it's been a collection of things that have helped, really. It's been working with a professional therapist to, I'm guessing it was talking therapy that you used?
Yes. It was.
And how long was it in total? That, I mean, it could be still going, but
I'm still in therapy now. I've been in therapy for about 3 years. And I think with therapy, a lot of people go into it being like, okay, cure my depression, cure this, but it's actually a lot of work that you have to do on yourself. You have to, really take like, okay, how can I apply this? And kind of doing that hard inner self work of rooting. Like, that's how I found out with, through my dad passing, that was through therapy. Just having those deep realizations can be really hard, and kind of just, like removing a Band-Aid can be a little bit just difficult. But when you see what's underneath, you're able to more, A, give yourself grace, and B, knowing, okay, this is why, because sometimes I feel like a lot of people that skin pick, they think, well, I feel crazy, like this is so weird, like I don't know, like why do I do this? And I know I felt those ways too. And and I've just thought, is there a way out of this and stuff like that? And so that's why it's so important to let people know, yeah, there is, and just a lot of work that goes along with it.
I think with the talking therapy, based on my own experience with it, it ties in nicely to what you're saying about like that reinforcement when you speak out loud, when you say these things out loud, you're kind of rewiring your brain to look for a different channel of experience of explaining how you're feeling, these triggers that would be, whether it is like a physical one, like and explaining, oh, I have the urge to skin pick right now, I'm near a mirror, which is like a physical trigger of mine, or if it was like I'm feeling really overwhelmed, it's been a really stressful day, and I'm taking my makeup off now and the urge is really high. I think I definitely found with talking therapy that it allows you, because the therapists that you talk to, they're not necessarily, some of them aren't trained to tell you what you're feeling or experiencing, but they're there to ask the right questions to get you to start questioning out loud some deeper rooted things and digging a bit deeper each time, right? And saying things out loud, that there's so much power and strength within that, because all of a sudden it's like what you were saying about ripping off a band-aid. Like, yes, it hurts, and there's times where you don't want to attend your session, or like you're exhausted thought, you're like, oh god, but I've now got to do this, and it's draining as well. You get off it, and sometimes you feel liberated and energized, and other times you just want to crawl into bed. It's so because it takes a lot of emotional energy, but long term, that when you start like, and maybe you agree, like over time you start to feel just a little bit more capable, just a little bit more like confident in your ability to communicate how you're feeling, and sometimes I mean, I don't know about you, but I found that like talking to a professional therapist about it then allowed me to build that confidence to talk more openly to my loved ones and like my other half, for example, and it was kind of diverting to that, and that's such a healthy habit to start implementing, right?
Yeah, that's so true. And I feel like a lot of people think that they can't rewire their brain or they can't create new neural pathways, but you definitely can. And yeah, I totally agree with everything you said there. And because as therapist is a very much a safe place, to talk about those kind of things. And then once you're able to, more, like you said, talk about it, then you feel like you can talk about it with others. And I think what has helped me with this is like, because sometimes we can ask, well, why do I have to go through this? Or why did I have to go through this? And I feel like there is purpose in things that we go through, whether or not we know it yet. I think even just like this, that's why I was like, okay, I want to share my journey with skin picking. And same with you felt called to help people and make sense and giving it purpose can really help, kind of thing. And helping others with it. And I think that's really good.
Thank you. I think one thing about kind of discussing it out loud that's helped me in my journey with it is that it destigmatizes it in my own mind. The more we talk about it, the more you get to know the people that are doing it, and you're like, well, actually, this is extremely common, and I'm not a weirdo, I'm not a freak. All these critical, cynical and judgmental voices in my head. It's like, well, I don't know if I believe you as much. But it's definitely cool to be able to connect with other people. And obviously everyone is very different journeys, different triggers, and different methods towards healing and stuff. But I definitely agree about, you can, just the same way that we've learned a behavior, we can learn new behaviors. Like it's just a case of consistent, like powering through the willpower of it. And that kind of leads me on to my next question. So you were initially you were like, right, I'm going to see if I can get through this month, and then just kind of take it month by month, see how we go. Did you experience initially any of that, the feeling of like discomfort? You're kind of going against the grain of what you've done for so long, and can you like explain a bit more about that, those kind of feelings once the motivation started to subside and you're like, oh, this is a bit uncomfortable?
Yeah. No, it was definitely uncomfortable in the way that, like, because sometimes there's more urges than others. And I remember just like, like where I would almost kind of have almost physical a bit sensations of like where I'm just like it's almost all I can think about. Like it's almost like it's just like that's the only thing. And so it's very important to like I just really like would talk to people being like, I'm really feeling this right now. And so and then I would definitely have like just strong urges. And since it was something that I really was that was so deep, I definitely had just had moments where it was just like that's all I could think about and stuff. But then I brought myself to, okay, I'm gonna pick. Okay, and then after picking, how is that gonna feel? I almost like took myself to after picking. And people that have picked, they know that there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of you look at your face and you're like, oh my goodness. And so I kind of almost brought myself there, and I'm like, do I want to feel that right now? And I'm like, no. And so like that's almost that's what is really one of the many, many things that has helped me be like, okay, no, I'm experiencing an urge right now. And also kind of like understanding that, okay, there's a urge coming there. I'm feeling something right now. But then it's like, instead of trying to suppress that urge and be like, no, I can't feel that urge. Being like, okay, what's this urge here to tell me? What's this trying to let me know? Like, kind of almost sitting with it, but we also want to like just really push it aside and be like, nope, I don't want to feel that right now. But once we just like almost kind of put it up to the surface and realize, hey, because when you try to suppress it, it just almost kind of comes up, very like aggressive. But when you're just like, okay, like a guest, hello, you're here for a little bit and then you can leave, kind of thing. And so, and, it might be an hour, might be longer than that, but, they're going to come and they're going to go. And that's kind of just what I've experienced with it. And even like, I know different fidgets kind of work for different people. Like, for me, like, I don't know, like fidget spinners were not for me. And it's kind of just knowing whatever worked for you. Like, I'll just have it right here, like this, like poppets kind of thing.
Oh,
they were great for me for that first, I would say that, like you said, that first discomforting time. There would be times where I just grab that thing and I'd just be like playing with it like a lot. And that's just something that worked for me during that really initial tough time of refraining.
And one thing I get asked about a lot is like the satisfaction element of it. So a lot of people, they try different things, fidget toys, or even the whole counting, like what you said earlier about like, I'm going to stop tomorrow. Like as of tomorrow, I'm going to stop it. And it almost always never really works. The fidget toys themselves are great when you've chiseled it to a fine art of understanding like what type of ones work for you, which environments you go to that are your triggers, where you can put them. So for example, like a trigger toy like keyring on your car keys when you are in traffic, and that's an area that you'd pick, or something like that.
For me also, like it was cutting my nails all the time, getting them really short. I don't know, like with my nails, they very much just like to grow like weeds. I don't know, they just like to grow. And so then I noticed that picking wasn't as like, where you were talking about the satisfaction of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't as satisfying having short nails than having long nails for me. It was just like, I was like, oh, well, this is not as fun, kind of thing, or this is not like, and it's kind of, interesting that we, say like fun, because it is kind of giving us that dopamine rush of like, this is feels good and stuff like that. Which I think a lot of people don't understand, because they're like, oh, you're kind of like hurting yourself in a way, and how can that be fun? But it's just that kind of satisfaction of it, which just replacing that kind of those, what you would usually get to have that dopamine rush or whatever, to do that in a different, healthier way. And so
and I definitely find that's what's helped me as well, is like in the past that was always a big thing that kept me imprisoned, it felt like, in those moments when that the satisfaction, no matter what I was trying, and it was kind of like, oh, I feel like I've tried so many things, and I'm constantly going back to this because of that satisfaction element and that feeling of reward when you haven't done it for a while. Say you've got an event and then you want to look a certain way, and then the event's passed and you're like, I can go crazy now. Great, I can.
No, I understand.
But I definitely agree with you that the whole thinking forward and being like, well, right now, I could do this. And I think meditation helps a lot with this as well, like the mindfulness in terms of sitting with the thought. And as you say, I think there's this quote, it's like, if you push away like bad feelings or emotions, stuff, they'll go down to the basement and lift weights. Like they'll come back stronger each and every time you.
That's a really good one. Yeah, that's really good.
But it's like, it's so true though, right? And so when you just sit with it and you're like, okay, I get it. I understand why you're here. Like, say for example, you've had a really busy day at work and something went wrong, and you're annoyed about it, and you just can't wait to get home and skim pick. But sitting with it mentally in your mind, you're like, why? Okay, I can understand why this urge is here right now. It makes sense because of XYZ, and that inwards reflection of like, well, I can sit with you on that, and I can look at what healthy things I can do instead to implement now. That's also gonna, the more I do it, the more satisfying it is, because I come away, it's a double win. It's like you've got that dopamine, like the positive brain chemicals, and you're feeling good. And I also think oxytocin is such a big one. Like, I don't know about you, but I get a lot of relief by when I'm feeling the urge to just like call a loved one, or see if I can meet up with them and just have like a laugh and just catch up. And it just, that kind of hug, they call it like the hug chemical, don't they? And it definitely allows, at least for me anyway, these things like allow me to take the stresses and frustrations or whatever like my triggers are to something healthier. And it sounds like it's definitely like a similar experience in some ways for you, because you've been able to like channel it outwards and talk, and you've got that person or persons in your life that you're able to discuss it with, which is so great. And I had another question about that actually. How did you find talking about it with your other half?
So I know a lot of people can be nervous about talking about it with whoever, kind of thing. And they think, oh, what will they think of me? What will they, but my partner took it as, they were like, wow, you actually trust me enough to tell me this. And they felt almost like, just like it was a compliment in the way that they just felt like, wow, you actually trust me. And they were like, well, how can I help? Kind of thing. And I think that's a sign of a true, person, where they're like, instead of being like, oh, well, that sucks, too bad, kind of thing, but being like, okay, how can I help? How can I I know it's ultimately like they can't take it away, but how can I help relieve something, or what can I do? And he was learning more. He had never heard about skin picking, so then he would want to learn about it more, and then that made me feel less alone. I think also I would talk to my mom about it too, because I lived with my mom for a bit. And I think it's, it's hard when you see your daughter doing this to herself. So there'd be times where she would just really feel like, why are you doing this, kind of thing. And then sometimes when people react badly to it, then you kind of want to shun and isolate yourself more. But then I just kind of had this conversation with my mom being like, hey, when I know you're distressed about what I was doing and stuff like that, but I need in that moment grace, and I need assurance, and I need encouragement, kind of thing. And so just like sometimes people won't know how to help because they think, well, if I just tell them to stop, kind of thing, but just kind of letting them know, hey, this is what helps me, and I know you're just trying to look out for me and stuff like that, but yeah, just communicating that to them. And then when you have that kind of group or community that can support you in the way that you've told them how that helps, then I feel like that you're on a road to success and stuff. Yeah.
Amazing. I think it's really important what you're saying about being able to openly communicate what you need. And I think you've said that you're a very empathic person, and I would consider myself an empathic person as well. And so it's
the same struggles about how we feel so much for things. Like for me, like I can't watch like sorry to cut you off, but I'm like, oh, another empathic, because I can't watch like scary movies. I don't know, for me it just is too much for me. Like it's
I can't. It's like I actually, like, sometimes I've just turn things off when it's awkward or like it's uncomfortable. It's like I just can't deal. Like this is just affecting me so much. My help is like, can we just watch this? I'm like, no. I am the worst. Don't ever watch a movie with me unless you are like me. Then we can just
exactly. I don't really watch movies a lot either, just because I'm like, it's hard for me. And even if someone wants to watch 2 movies in a row, I'm like, no, I need to process the first movie.
I can't imagine anything worse than like a double back to back. Like that's a lot of energy. I'd be like, I'm gonna need about 2-3 hours just to wind down for the deal, right?
Thank you.
So what I was saying about being empathic, obviously it's easier, it's helpful in a way because we're able to connect to how the other person is in terms of like what they may be experiencing on the other end of that conversation. And so even though it can be very stressful if you're talking to someone that's like, just, well, can you just like stop, or like, it's a loved one and they don't really know how to communicate. On the other hand, although it is very frustrating and it's like, well, no, I can't just stop. That's why I'm having this conversation. On the other side, obviously there's a very high chance that they're experiencing a lot of like discomfort with the conversation and fear because they don't know what's wrong and they just want you to be okay. And I think what you said is so important because it's like when you approach that conversation, it's vital that you go there with not so much an action plan, but just kind of preparing to explain to them what you need from them. Because if it was me, right, I've got 2 younger sisters and they came to me and they were like, I'm experiencing this. Naturally, I would want to fix it. I would be like, right, fix it mode, like, let's get it sorted. And they were like, no, back off. So I can see how other, whether it's your spouse or your parents or your best friends or whoever like loves you, they're like, right, let's get it done, let's fix this. They're like, no, this is actually adding a lot of more pressure onto things. And so what you're saying about coming there and saying, look, this is what happened, this is what I do, this is what I'm kind of struggling with. It's not necessarily like me, it's just kind of a symptom of a wider thing that I'm trying to work on. And this is what I kind of need from you to be able to help. Like, so you know, in your sense, you were saying like, you know, patience and encouragement and things that make you feel more motivated to go down the positive route of managing it, rather than somebody meeting you with pressure and you know, in consideration, just like, just stop, like
just fix. You just want to fix it. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who wanted to like take it seriously, you know, somebody that felt like they've tried loads of different things and they're just like, they feel, you know, they're in that moment where they're in despair and they're like, I just want to be able to manage this. Like, I just want to be able to live a life that isn't controlled to a T by my skin picking and having it affect my overall quality of life. What advice would you give to someone in that position, as you've been, you know, at least 5 months successfully managing your skin picking?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would give them a hug. Because I don't know, I'm a hug person, but I've definitely been there, and I don't want someone to see me and be like, well, she's that kind of person. Oh, maybe she's just able to do that because I don't know what's in her genes, or but I've been there too. And when you know that like someone has been there as well, and they're also like came out on the other side of it, it gives hope, you know. And I think maybe, you know, people can do a lot of things, you know, kind of thing, like, well, if I just do a fidget and I do this, and if I just do a whole bunch of things and be busy, then, but it's like, well, maybe it's not about the amount of things, but being able, the quality of them, or what can you get out of that? Like, so if you're just like, oh, I'm just going to go to therapy, but you know, but realizing like, oh, I don't want to do the hard work for this, you know, it's about reflecting on yourself and not just keeping busy with just a whole bunch of things so that you don't pick. But yeah, like we said, just taking that hard look at the source, the root, and believing in yourself that you can overcome this. And you, oh man, I just get so emotional, because I just have been there, and where I was thinking there, will I be able to stop this? Is there hope? Or, you know, and there's just so much emotion that comes with it. And I think, yeah, even my faith, and even, you know, people praying for me has been so encouraging for me as well. And whoever's listening to this, I see you, you know, I understand. And I know you're going on your unique journey, and, you know, I don't want to, you know, be like, oh, it'll be all okay, you know, because that's what we're going to tell them, it'll be okay, I'll be okay, I'll be okay. But it's like, well, what does that mean, you know, right? And so, you know, just really looking deep, being willing to look really deep in yourself, and and what you're wanting out of your life. Because I was at that point, I was just through with being controlled by it, and it's almost like you just, and that's not just the only thing that was able for me to stop, but it was one of the things where I was like, I don't want to be doing this 5 years from now, and I want to live a life that's like to the fullest of, you know, and just, you know, being very purposeful with everything I do. And it takes a lot of work, but yeah, I just wanted to say that with grace, and I just want to come about it with just the most gentle way of saying that. And so, yeah.
Thank you so much. It's such wise words, and it's really, it's really beautiful to hear, because I can feel the love that comes from it, and you know, you care so much. Something that you've experienced that has helped you so much, and to want others to feel that warmth within themselves. I can definitely feel it. I have goosebumps, especially watching. I am like, oh yes, yes.
Oh
yeah. So
yeah.
so as we're kind of bringing this conversation to a close, one thing I like to ask is if you have a favorite quote, and to kind of elaborate on why it is your favorite.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, when you were asking me about that, there were so many. Like I have a vision board right now, and so it's all these kind of not just like, oh, that's a nice quote, but it was something where like I want to embody this. I want to really just take it, so I can remember every day, like, okay, yeah. One of them was stop living on autopilot and start living on purpose. So basically, kind of with every interaction you do, what's the purpose in it? Always asking, well, why? And I think for me, I know this is a little bit of a rabbit trail, but I just feel like with people, we wait till they pass away to tell them say how we felt about them. But I'm like, well, why don't we just tell them right now? Like, why don't we just tell them, hey, I really appreciated this about you. This is something that inspires me about you. And I just want to, like, some people are kind of really off put about sometimes me, because can be very deep and very like, but I, as someone who's had had a lot of, like my dad passed away. I've had a lot of people that I've lost in my years. And what I've learned is that life is so precious, and living it to the full is just like, is so important, to just, connecting with people on a deep level of who they are and how you want to, when you leave that conversation, you leave feeling encouraged, and you can leave them feeling like that they were heard. One of the things that, even another quote, like my dad, a lot of people said that when he listened to people, or when people talked to him, they felt like they were the only ones in the room, and that's what I want to be. Like, I want to treat people and listen to them like they're the only ones in the room, because it's hard because like in this day and age, everybody's attention span is so just like, TikToks or whatever, just it's very like very minimal. But when you have someone who can just like, I want to really listen to you, instead of being like, oh yeah, whatever, kind of thing, but like really listen. That's what I want to embody. And obviously this there's this other verse from the Bible that nothing can separate me from God's love. And I just feel like, sometimes we can feel like, oh, just even in skin picking, we just feel isolated. We don't feel worthy. We don't feel stuff like that. But there's nothing that can separate you from that love. And there's, that's a long version. That's a long answer. Yeah. So.
No, I loved it. I loved all of it. Yeah. Amazing. And I think whether you're a person of faith, and it could be any faith, even if it was, towards the universe or even to objects or whatever, I think like that art of gratitude, and just feeling, the abundance around you of like, I have so much to be thankful for. It was so much in my life, whether it is, to your creator, or if it is to your family or friends, or even just memories you've had, or things around you, a roof over your head, these things. Like, I think what you touched on, with skin picking, it is so isolating, and it's so often it just kind of keeps us in this bubble of like self-torment and just an exhaustion and so many other emotions from it. But I think, touching on what you said, that is so important to see that there's so much more around you. There's so much love, around you. And I can definitely feel that from you, even though, you know, we're not in the same room. I definitely feel a lot of warmth from you. And I wanted to say, like, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been such a lovely conversation. I feel very honored to hear about your journey. Thank you so much for sharing it with me. And if anybody wanted to reach out to you, Michelle, where would be the best place for them to do so?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to reach out to me, you can reach at me on my Instagram. I think you'll probably maybe have it in the description, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, so it's yeah, so you can look at there. Also, even my email is just my last name, Peters Michelle 618@gmail.com. So
I'll link to both of them if you are happy with that. And thank you once again. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and we'll chat very soon.
Thank you very much, Kim. Thank you so much.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.